Every pro that I know reached their level by doing one thing consistently. If you think you're stuck because of teammates, bad MS, matchmaking, or just bad luck, this video will not help you. Because the moment you start blaming other things, you stop fixing the only thing that you can actually control: your decisions and your mental. As you guys may know, I stream a lot, and a lot of these times you guys see me tilted. You're gonna crash out, Nana. You're gonna crash out. You stupid bitch. I blame teams, I rage at matchmaking, so I know exactly where you guys are coming from. But my point is that you guys should not let that blind you from your own mistakes. I've been a victim of this. A lot of times, for example, I will go west, I will go 80, 100 MS, and I'll start blaming the MS the whole game. Same thing when I was playing solo queue, I will start blaming teammates. When I died, when I made misplays, I would look for someone to blame. And this is just a bad habit to have. And this video isn't about blaming you. This video is about the mistakes that people overlook the most. Because at this level, your game sense matter more than your mechanics. But before we start, I want you to understand where this advice is coming from. I've played competitive in Mobile Legends. I basically flew to Brazil to play in Liga Latam, which was a pretty big tournament back then, and it was a pretty big achievement for me. And I've also placed top 3 in NACT, right under teams like BTK and Cloud9 at the time. I've also done 100 stars solo queue to Immortal completely streamed. And then, as many as you guys know, I also, I got Global 1 Lancelot, I got 1,000 stars before, I got some other globals like Hayabusa, I'm doing Global Suyu now. I'm only saying this because I want your credibility, right? I want you to understand that I actually know what I'm talking about. Everything I'm about to teach you is proven in real games against real players under pressure. And more importantly, I used to make the same mistakes I'm about to show you. I didn't start as a high win rate player. For a long time, I was sitting around 50 to 53% win rate. Same rank, same problems, same frustration. I didn't just keep playing mindlessly. I started treating improvement like a process, not a grind. I began connecting with players instead of gambling solo queue every game, mostly through Discord. And you start off low, as you guys can see, like, we were even pinging people to recruit that were legend rank. So this wasn't even about like, trying to find teammates to just win. It was about to learn communication. You can learn how to draft better. You can learn how to rotate better. You can learn how to have synergy with certain people. Every step gave me experience, and over time the results changed. My win rate didn't jump overnight. It earned its way up slowly, from 53% to over 71%. And yes, I've played a lot of games. As you guys may know, there's people that have a lot of games on this game, but they still fail to like improve. They have like 45 win rate, 49, like a monstrosity. They just don't learn. Why? Because they don't see their own mistakes. I understand that your teammates may be bad, that this is frustrating, but you cannot let this blind you and stop looking at yourself for your own mistakes that you can always improve on. A simple mistake, if the enemies know what they're doing, it can be very easily punishable. You won't be able to get away with a lot of things that you get away with in lower rank once you rank up. Up to a certain point, mechanics do carry your games, as you guys may know, but when it gets to higher mythic, you won't be able to get away with the things that you do in lower rank. They will punish you for that, right? They will maximize on that mistake and they'll make the most out of it. If you die as a jungler before turtle's even up, then you're basically kind of done, right? What happens next? Oh, they take the turtle, they permanently invade you, they take your blue, then they take your greens, they keep that pressure up. That turns into a whole cycle of just constant pressure throughout the map. So I'm gonna actually teach you guys how to fix the first mistake based on your role. It doesn't matter if you're jungle, mage, roam, marksman, or EXP. So let's say you kill the jungler. Obviously the mistake will be here, and what most people do is they full clear their own jungle. This is wrong. What you should do instead, you should immediately choose, right? Should I get turtle, the slash lore if it's up? Should I get the enemy buff? Should I get some green camps? If you take the enemy jungle, it's double the benefit because obviously you're taking gold from them and you're getting double because you're gonna get your own camps right after, right? Okay, so as a mid laner, if you get a kill, obviously The biggest mistake will be to recall right after, especially when you don't have to. Knowing that you have the number advantage, like you can just invade the enemy jungler. A lot of times you're gonna see mages just applying pressure. You don't even have to take the camp, you can just be there, but obviously without taking too much risk. Make sure you do this along with your roamer, just to annoy the enemy jungler. Sometimes you can even steal the camps depending on the situation. Just be aggressive in general, knowing you have the number advantage and knowing you have more gold and knowing that you just gotta kill, right? Getting a kill as an XP laner doesn't mean you made a good play. What matters is what you do after the kill. Most mythic players get a kill, then chase another fight, recall, or just, roam randomly. That's how you throw your advantage, and XP laners like to ego 1v1 a lot. Basically, they want to win the 1v1, they get ganked, they die. If nothing happens on the map after you kill, then the kill was basically wasted. The first thing you should do, getting your level 4, getting turtle priority, and just focusing the enemy jungler. That's gonna give you the biggest advantage, and that's your main job as an XP laner. If the wave is pushing towards you, you can hard shove it. Make the enemy lose minions and time. If the wave crashes into the tower, you can hit the tower. Even a few hits matters because you're gonna get some extra gold from it. Tower damage creates pressure, it forces the enemy to rotate potentially, and then it just opens up the map later on. Only after the wave is fixed do you look to rotate. And if the next wave is about to arrive, just stay to clear it, right? With your wave shoved, the enemy XP has to respawn. That gives you the first move to mid, river, or potentially an objective. This could be a tower that you help with your team, this could be a blue buff, this could be a turtle, a lore, it doesn't matter, right? You're not roaming randomly, you're rotating with priority. Getting a kill as a roamer doesn't mean you should always keep fighting. Your job isn't to chase kills, it's to turn pickups into control around the map. A roaming kill only matters if it creates number advantages on the map, hold space, zone the enemy, clear vision, and deny their entry. Don't leave immediately, make sure the area stays safe. Then after that, you should enable your carry, right? You should help your teammate fix their wave or take turret damage, especially your gold or mid lane. Getting a kill as a gold laner feels huge, but most players usually waste it. Gold lane kills are about economy, not your ego, not being the better player, none of that. It's all about taking full advantage of it. Your kill is only gonna matter if it increases your gold lead, not only from the kill itself, but from what you do after that. So after a kill, you should shove the wave, obviously. Number 1, you should shove the wave. Immediately hard push it, make the enemy lose gold and experience. And if the wave crashes, you can always hit the tower, obviously knowing that you're not gonna get gangbanged by the enemy team. Plate, shield, damage, and tower HP, it all matters. You should always try to push based on the information that you have on the map. Once the wave is crashed, then you reset or rotate with your team if the timing is right. Like if the turtle's up and you pushed already, you can try to rotate or you can try to double lane on mid lane. This is what a lot of marksmen do. They double lane, they take the mid lane, and then they rotate safely back to the lane. You should never leave a wave frozen against you. If the next wave is coming, then you should stay, because if you leave, you're just gonna let the marksman get free minions and you're gonna let him push your lane, get some tower shield, or potentially get the tower depending on what the timing is of the game. Missing one wave is more damage than missing one fight most of the time. Again, this is the gold lane, so this gives you the most gold around the map. A very common mistake that gold laners do make is that they chase kills mid and fall behind and farm. Then they wonder why they feel weak later, like, oh, I do no damage, I'm so behind, gold lane sucks, this and that, right? But it's just them not being able to farm properly. So you should always keep in mind that gold lane isn't about fighting early, it's about showing up to late game with more items than everybody else and being able to carry your team after farming all game. So the mistake number 2 that I'll be going over is wave priority. Wave priority simply means your team clears the lane first, which gives you time to move, rotate, or take objectives. Another name for this could be tempo. When you don't have wave priority, you're forced to defend the minions, and that means you're late to every fight. So as a jungler, you don't decide objectives alone. Before forcing turtle or lore, look at your lanes. If your lanes are pushed in, your team can help you. Retreat doesn't matter if you're outnumbered. And then as a mid lane, the mid lane controls wave priority for the entire map, because this is basically the middle of the map and the most important lane. So as an XP laner, your job is to create pressure, basically. If you rotate before clearing your wave, the enemy XP moves first, hits level advantage, and join fights earlier than you, so obviously you don't want this. A lot of times roamers lose games by forcing fights without having any prio around the map. And most of the time they don't even realize they're doing it, right? Because on the surface it looks like a good play. You got a set, you got a good engage, but the real question is never can you engage. It's like you should ask yourself, like, can my team follow up, right? Can my team follow up? A lot of times they complain, right? Like, oh, where's my team? I have no team. But you should also, you should look at the distance between them. You should see if they have their abilities up. You should see if they can even go in or walk up to you, if they're getting zoned, like, right? You have to keep all of these things in mind. If your lanes aren't clear, your team can follow up to your engage. That is the part that most roamers ignore. Your XP laner is catching a wave on the tower, your gold laner is still clearing a cannon wave, your mid hasn't cleared yet, and when you go in, what looks like a 5-man play becomes like a 1-man mistake, basically. Tip number 3, embedding without information is one of the fastest ways to throw a game, and it doesn't matter what role you're playing. An embed isn't about confidence, it's about information, the information that you have on the map, right? When you embed without information, you're not making a play. It's basically gambling, right? Like hoping the enemies don't come and defend it, hoping that you don't die for it, hoping that you can get away with it. And this is how most people just throw games. You feel strong, you win a small fight, you see an opening, and you walk into the enemy jungle with no setup. First, you look at the lanes. If your lanes are pushed in, don't invade. Your teammates are clearing waves. Obviously, they can't help you. Second, you track the enemy. You don't need perfect vision, you need a reason to believe where they are. Timers, previous fights, missing players. In this update, it's crazy because what you would think is a good embed becomes bad because there's this fucking map with the cloud. They just come flying out of nowhere. They go from base to the blue to the red. They come flying and they just jump you. It's so fucking stupid. And then you have to embed, obviously, with a purpose, right? A good embed has a clear goal. You steal something, you place vision, you force a reset. Like a lot of roamers or jungler or whatever, you can force a reset. Also with the blue buff, you guys know you can take the big one and let the small one live. If you can't say what you're embedding for, then don't go for it, right? It's usually not worth it. But you should always prioritize embedding at the right time. This is why knowing this information and just having general game knowledge is so important. You also have to leave early, make sure you don't overstay, right? The best embeds are short. You get in, you get value, and then you instantly get out. Most throws don't happen as soon as you go in. They happen because someone stayed way too long, right? Here's a small detail that most players miss. When you step near a bush and you see the little eye icon, the eye is delayed. It means someone was watching you before it appears, so if the eye pops up late, the enemy didn't just arrive, they were there already. Another topic that I really want to touch on is why a lot of players, basically, they don't improve no matter how much they play, right? A lot of them think time equals improvement, so they think that if you play more, you're automatically gonna get better. So they play more games, more hours, more matches, and they still stuck, they still suck at the game. But that's because improvement doesn't come from playing a lot, it comes from playing with intention. So the core problem is that most players repeat the same mistakes every game. They don't review them, they don't isolate them, and they don't fix them. So they're not improving, they're just reinforcing bad habits and doing the same thing over and over. When you queue up and you're on autopilot, your brain isn't learning, it's reacting. Playing in these game modes and playing for long hours, especially playing for long hours, it made me become a worse player. You lose, you blame your teammates, you queue again, and you play the exact same way. So nothing changes. And how to actually improve is when you stop asking yourself, why did we lose? And you start saying, what did I do wrong, right? What could I have done better in this situation? I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. Not everything, just one thing. Like, oh, maybe, maybe I'm going crazy. I got hella kills, but I took one bad fight at the wrong time. A lot of people just play the game. They play, but they don't actually look at their games. You have to, from time to time, you have to look at the replays and actually analyze them, right? You can potentially get someone better than you to help you out, right? Be like, yo, can you help me with this game? And you have to stop measuring improvement and skill by rank, because the rank moves slowly and the skill moves every game basically. If you're playing cleaner, you're dying less for no reason, arriving earlier to fights, you're automatically improving even if the rank hasn't caught up yet. Trading means you take something while the enemy is busy. Like, is the roam top? You push bottom, right? If they group in mid, you pressure the side, especially as a jungler or like a split pushing side laner. If they start an objective, you just take a tower, or you take your own buffs, or you take some of the enemy jungle, or you take some minions, right? You're not ignoring them, you're forcing them to respond. This is good, especially if you're behind. Like, for example, if you're on a scaling hero, a jungler like YSS, like Joy, a lot of times what they do in pro play is that they give up the first turtle and they trade it for the enemy buff basically at the opposite side, or they give up a turtle and they trade it for a gank on the opposite lane to, they could potentially get a kill, they could clear the wave, push the tower, get some gold. You don't always have to contest these main objectives if you know that you can win them already, right? So this applies to every role. If you're in a lane and the enemy leaves, your first instinct shouldn't be to chase. It should be to shove the wave and apply some pressure. If you're on the map and you see multiple enemies showing, look for what's free, right? Can you get some free farm? Can you get some pressure? Can you get a tower? Can you potentially get a buff or camp for a kill after they come back to the lane? And the most common mistake that people do is that they match rotations out of fear, right? They're scared that their team will lose the team fight without them, and then they're gonna start pinging them, blaming them. But showing up late doesn't save the fight. Like, if you're already late, you're most likely gonna lose, you won't be able to do anything, so you might as well look for a trade. Another reason is that you're not playing around cooldowns, and this is basically why you're stuck. Every cooldown in the game is important. It could be ultimates, abilities, it could be spells like a retreat, a flicker. Knowing all of these cooldowns are very important because you can just call them out for your team, right? Flicker lasts 2 minutes. If somebody flicker at minute 2:30, you could be like, okay, this person flicker, they're gonna have a bag by 4:30. So if it's before then maybe we can catch them by surprise, get a kill or whatever, and they won't have flicker, right? Sometimes cooldown matters even more than gold, right? Like, a team that's down 10,000 gold can still win the fight. Like, if there's an enemy with no ultimates, a team ahead in gold can still lose if they engage without the proper skills or they don't have their spells, right? Like, for example, if the enemy has like a Ling, which is really ult dependent, you can probably pick him off and get a shot down pretty easily if you just saw him wasting his ult. The strongest plays happen right after the enemy uses something important. It could be an ultimate, flicker, a retreat. That's your window to go in, right? You don't need to force a big fight. You just need to recognize the opening and look for a good team fight based on the information that you have. If your ultimate is down, you don't frontline, right? If your escape is down, you don't overextend. Like, if you don't have flicker, if you don't have your dash, you shouldn't overextend on the map. And if your team lacks like key spells, you shouldn't contest. Like, if your jungler doesn't have retreat, if your roamer, for example, doesn't have a flicker or an ultimate, like a Tigreal, a Kaja, then you guys shouldn't force it. And most throws happens when players pretend that their cooldowns don't exist. During a fight, pinning lets you track like cooldown usage, like who committed, who disengaged, who still has tools. A lot of players don't actually do this. I personally pin my map with my index finger on the top right of the screen. It's a mechanic that you can learn. Most players play, with just their 2 thumbs, but if you do learn this, it could benefit you a lot, right? Like, maybe you can pin your map a little further to land an ability like more accurately, or you can pin your map, to look at a team fight. see what they use, because most players believe that the minimap shows everything, but it doesn't. The minimap tells you where things are. Pinning your camera tells you like what's actually happening. Basically, you can see everything clearly. And the minimap is limited because it doesn't always show exact positioning, it doesn't show spacing, and it doesn't show angles. And in a team fight, those details decide everything on how you go in. This is why players get flanked, this is why backliners die without knowing why, and why engages feel so good but they still fail.